In what ways does a media product use, develop or challenge forms and conventions of real media products? Before I started my final magazine, I went through a lot of analysing of other professional magazines such as XXL, The Source and Vibe. I did this to find out what kind of layout each magazine has and what similarities and differences there are between all of the different magazines. This was important to me because by doing this I knew how I had to set out my magazine to make it look as professional as possible. As I had knowledge in what genre I would like to create, I chose the genre of rap. Because of this genre, I had to create a suitable title for my magazine. The title of the magazine was laid out in a similar style as XXL. I set my title out in this way because XXL is the same genre as I was targeting mine to be. Therefore the title went well with the magazine. On my front cover, the masthead stands out from everything. This shows that my magazine is a well established and popular magazine, as the title is big and I wanted it to stand out on the shelf so the target audience of my magazine could be able to see it. My image also followed the same genre, as it also needed to stand out to the audience. As you look at my front cover image, it looks like it is a hip hop or rap magazine, as my character is wearing a flashy watch and he is also wearing chains. This gives a stereotypical image of the rap genre and it also portrays a gangster image. I also use the medium close-up of my main image. I did this because it makes my magazine look more professional, because XXL and The Source use the same camera shot. There are two different images which are located on the contents page. Both of these images stick to the genre of my magazine, as in one of them my character is holding a bottle of champagne. This shows that the rapper is celebrating maybe a new album or single. Partying is also associated heavily with hip hop and rap, therefore the champagne bottle connotes partying. On the other hand, the other looks like the rappers are both in a concert while the images are taken. The lights in the background look like the lights you would have in a concert. By looking at other professional magazines such as XXL and The Source, I checked the house star, titles of the articles and headers. I also checked what kind of fonts they used. Because all of the magazines in this genre use the same types of fonts, which are bold, and house styles which are suitable to the genre, I also decided to use the same sorts of fonts and house style. The specific fonts that I used the most are called Impact and Miriam Pro. I used Impact to make the text stand out more, and I used Miriam Pro to make my magazine look more professional, as it is readable, and that is why I used it for my double page spread. As I chose the genre of rap, I needed to display that on my front cover, contents page, and also my double page spread. To do this, I used different types of fonts and images that suited my specific genre. My front cover had an image of a black American rapper, which connotes that he is a rapper, as that is a stereotypical view of a rapper nowadays. To go with that, he is wearing a Gucci watch. This shows that he is very wealthy because the watch costs a lot of money. I followed this convention because rap stars are associated heavily with wealth very often. The font I use on the front cover is also very bold. This suggests that it is a rap magazine because rappers are known to be bold and selfish. On the contents page, I have used the same sorts of techniques to show that it is a rap genre in the images, fonts and layout of the page. The image, first of all, is again of a black American who is holding a bottle of champagne. The bottle of champagne suggests lots of different things associated with rap, such as partying. A lot of people think that all rap stars do is party all the time and only make songs here and there. The bottle of champagne also suggests wealth, as champagne is very expensive and this bottle of champagne isn't any ordinary one. On the contents page, I have again used a bold font. I chose to use a bold font as I wanted to stand out to the audience. On the double page spread, I have dedicated one full page to the rap stars. This shows power and dominance, as they have taken up an entire page just by themselves. Both of the stars are definitely represented as musicians, as they have got chains on, and one of them also has a pair of headphones on, which suggests music dramatically. I have taken ideas of the layout of the text from XXL magazine. How does your media product represent particular social groups? My media product represents an Afro-Caribbean social group. This is because my artist is also an Afro-Caribbean rapper. By my artist being the same social group as I am targeting, they will be more likely to buy the magazine, as they are of the same ethnicity. Also, the fact that my artist is also a male means that this will help the magazine reach out to males. Therefore, I think that males are more likely to buy the magazine than females. Also, Afro-Caribbean people are usually associated with rap, as most rappers are also Afro-Caribbean. This is also a factor of which social group will be most likely to buy the magazine. What kind of media institution might distribute your media product, and why? I think that IPC would be a good media institution for our music magazine to be distributed with. I think this because some of the other magazines that they currently distribute are very popular and up to date. NME is one of the magazines that they publish and is very popular around the country. Although I think NME has a different target audience and a different genre to mine, I still think that my magazine would work nicely against it, as it is still quite similar. IPC, however, only publish one music magazine. Therefore, adding another music magazine will bring in more of a profit and therefore make them more popular as the magazine develops. I reckon that my magazine will fit perfectly in between the magazines that IPC are already distributing, because I have the same type of style as they do, and I think that if those magazines are very popular, mine would be too, and I think it would benefit the institute. I also think that it would add to the collection of the music magazines and will set a new style for that section in the magazine business. I think that there is a gap in the market for my magazine, as the magazine features a lot of new and unique features such as genre and the artists I am using in my magazine. I think that my magazine is very unique and modern, and I think that it would be a great hit with the young people. Modernity is very important for young people, as they always want to know everything first. I also think that my magazine is a mass market product, as the target audience for the product is both males and females of the teenage generation. I also think that my magazine will attract different social groups and will make a different market for the company. IPC have experience distributing NME magazine, which surely give them some knowledge as to how to get my magazine across to the mass market. The fact that they have distributed another music magazine means that they have experience with the music market and could distribute my magazine very easily. Who would be the audience for your media product? The audience of my magazine will be males and females aged around 40 to 21 years old. I think that the core buyer for my magazine will be mostly male at the younger end of my age range. The reason for this is that males tend to enjoy reading magazines which relate to them. Therefore, my magazine is mainly made up of male rappers, so the content in my magazine would be more suitable for them and would appeal to them. The reason why the core buyer would be younger is because younger males can tend to get bored easily, therefore tend to go out and buy magazines. However, even though my magazine is mainly aimed at males, I reckon females at the younger age of the scale will still buy the magazine, because females usually enjoy the latest gossip and news, so a bit of my content will be suitable for females. My prediction of the percentage of males to females will be 75% males and 25% females. Because of the images I have used in my magazine, I think that male teenagers and young adults will be attracted to my magazine, as they may want to know who it is. People always want to know what's new, therefore I created a brand new artist who has become a big hit with my target audience fast. The main ethnic group which I think will buy this magazine will be an Afro-Caribbean target audience. This is because my magazine consists of Afro-Caribbean artists. Also, Afro-Caribbean people tend to listen to rap, as most of the artists who create rap music are of the same ethnicity. My magazine is also based around the genre of rap, which would then attract my main target audience. How do you attract or address your audience? To attract my main target audience, I use a lot of different ways. I use language, fonts, images, the masthead, the contents inside, and the layout. I used informal language to address my audience, as it is the best way to grab their attention. If I talk in a chatty language, then they can relate to the magazine and can understand it better than if it was formal. It also makes the text more interesting and not dull. I use some forms of slang in the magazine to make the text seem recognizable to the audience. By adding slang, it can make my target audience want to read it, as they may think that a cool hip-hop person has written it. I also use exclamation marks to make it even more informal and to address the audience in a different way to grab their attention. I also use different fonts which are very unique and different, which could make my audience be attracted to it, as they may be bored with normal text and may want something a bit different. The text I used on the front cover was big, bold and bright to make it stand out above other magazines. The contents I used in my magazine reflect the results I got from my questionnaire. I have added exclusive interviews with a new hip-hop artist and have also included a free poster. This content should definitely attract my target audience to my magazine, as it came from them in the first place when filling out my questionnaire. To attract my target audience, I also added the names of some famous artists such as Wiz Khalifa. He is famous all because of his songs. This would definitely attract my audience, as he is a very popular figure in the world of hip-hop. Also, the masthead that I used on my front cover is very unique and unusual. It is big and bold so that it attracts attention of the audience. I used a bright colour for the masthead so that it stands out even more and catches the eye of the target audience. The images I have used should engage the audience, as the image on the front cover is of the new artist who is a teenager. He's the same age as my target audience, which should engage my audience. I used a direct mode of address in most of the images in my music magazine. This is because I wanted the artist to stimulate an interaction with every individual reader. All sorts of different magazines use this technique. The main image I used on my front cover should give an indication as to what type of magazine it is and therefore attract my main target audience. The main image is also the dominant feature of my front cover, as it is big and stands out above everything else. I have also chosen to use my layout to attract my audience in different ways. One way I used was by using a skyline on my front cover, as readers usually read from top to bottom, so that a little bit of information at the top should give them an indication as to what the magazine is about and therefore drawing my main target audience. The main image in the center is purposely big, as it also attracts the audience to the magazine, as it stands out straight away with just a quick glance. The article on the double page spread is split into one little paragraph at the top and then two columns. This gives the reader the impression that there is less text than there actually is, as it is more spread out. I use this technique as my magazine is aimed at a teenage target audience. Teenagers do not really like to read. This technique is very useful to get them to actually read the magazine. So the way I have placed my images and text should help the reader know what type of magazine they are looking at on the shelf. Overall, I attracted my audience in several different ways according to the audience's opinions themselves, and also taking inspiration from other magazines of the same genre which already exist. For example, I have used a large masthead across the top of my front cover, as every magazine which I found has the same style. However, my masthead uses bright colours which stand out to the audience as soon as they see it. I also made all of my pages neat and organised so that it will attract good attention to the readers. What have you learnt about technology from the process of constructing this product? During this process of constructing this product, I have learnt a lot from the technology I have used when creating my product. Throughout this magazine, I have used the internet, Microsoft Office, a digital camera, Adobe Photoshop, Adobe InDesign, WordPress, and also DaFont. First of all, the internet is essential for completing any task. I use the internet for the research section of my project. I use Google to get images of front covers, contents pages, and double page spreads of existing music magazines. I refined my search for these images so that I would get more precise results. I changed the size of the image that I wanted to retrieve, as I wanted to make sure that I would see the features on the images so that I would write about and analyze them. I used the internet to research magazine institutions. I mainly used the advanced search option to get more precise results, so I could get as much information as possible. I used Microsoft Word to write up all of the information in the project, such as the research and planning. It allowed me to create my flat plans using AutoShapes. This gave me a good insight to what my final designs would look like. It also allowed me to write up text in whatever font I wanted and whatever size I wanted. This is where DaFont also came in. I used DaFont to choose a unique font for my text. I had a wide range of fonts which I could choose from, and that is why DaFont really helped me to create my magazine. By doing this, my magazine ended up looking very presentable. I used Microsoft Excel to create the pie charts I created from my questionnaire and results. This helped me to see the results in a visual way, so I could decide what my target audience would like to see the results in a visual way. Using Microsoft Office meant that I could copy the graphs from Excel and display them in Photoshop easily. To get my original images, I needed an advanced camera in my photo shoot for the images I would use for my magazine. The photo shoot developed my skills of photography and made me understand the importance of shot types and how I can portray the model in certain different ways. During the photo shoot, I learnt that the lighting was very important, as it can change what different images may represent. I then used Photoshop to manipulate the images from my photo shoot. I used techniques such as correcting the exposure and changing the main background of the image. Photoshop also helped me to insert images which I would then crop so that it would fit on the page and I could select the part of the image that I wanted. An example of this is my front cover image, which also had a black background. This also helped my work look neater. I used tools such as the magic wand and the magnetic lasso tool. These enabled me to highlight the outline of a main piece of an image that I needed in order for the image to look presentable in a professional standard. This also helped me adjust the model's presentation and size. This made the model stand out more. I used some of these tools for the first time, therefore I think that I have learnt a lot during this project. Finally, I used WordPress to present my work as it is, a more modern and safer way to show work. This shows that I am up to date with today's technology and shows that I have used WordPress. This website also made it very simple to upload images and text, which made it easy to represent my work. Looking back at your preliminary task, what do you feel you have learnt in the progression from it to a full product? Looking back at my preliminary task, I can see a huge difference in the quality of the two projects. One of these is the camera work, which I used. During the preliminary task, all we did was take a medium close-up on a friend. However, during the real task, I had to get a lot of the equipment together, like a high quality camera and lighting, to be able to create different effects. Also, I got my artist to do some extra poses so he would look more like a rap star than he actually does. I knew that this would help sell my magazine, as people would know what genre the magazine is about and therefore buy it if they are interested. My preliminary task was very poor in the sense that I put much more time and effort into my final draft. My preliminary task is missing a lot of things. On my preliminary task, there's loads of empty space around the main image on the front cover. I noticed I didn't like how it looked, and therefore on my final draft I minimized the amount of blank space. Also, the image which I used on the front cover had a black background. This meant that it didn't make the magazine look professional. Therefore, for the image on my final draft, I used Photoshop to crop out the black background. This made the magazine look much more professional, as most of the already published magazines such as XXL never have a black background. They never have a black background because it doesn't help make the text stand out on the front cover. The font on my preliminary task is also very informal and thin. I reckon that this font does not attract the reader directly. Only when you pick up the magazine can you see the writing. However, on my final draft, the fonts which I use are very bold and seem to address the audience directly, as it really stands out. The masthead on my preliminary task is also very colourful. This made the magazine look like it has a target market which is very young, as it is very colourful and would attract little children. Therefore, I took this into consideration for my final draft and I made a masthead which is a bit duller, however still stands out as it is big. And finally, my image on the preliminary task is covering a bit of the masthead. I don't think this worked very well, as it still doesn't make the artist look superior or more important. Therefore, I put my artist behind the masthead that also showed the name of the magazine well and made the front cover look more professional. On my contents page of the preliminary task, the main image I have chosen to allocate on the contents page consists of a two-shot. The image again has a black background with a lighting effect. The image also doesn't suit a contents page, as it is too big and direct. Therefore, people are going to be more attracted to the image and not consider the contents, which is the main aim of the contents page. Therefore, I took this into consideration for my final project and made my main image of my artist smaller, and also made the contents the main focus of the contents page. On my preliminary task, the content is spread out all over the page. The main article is on the right in a different colour, which did in fact make stand out to the audience. However, the cover lines were located on the left hand side. This made the magazine look less professional, as it again looked childish because of the colours I used. On my final project contents page, I then put all of my contents on one side of the page. This made the magazine look much more professional, as it seemed to be more sophisticated. To make the main article stand out, I then put it at the top of all my contents and created a border underneath to separate it from the cover lines. The colours on my preliminary task are also very childish and therefore make the magazine look very colourful, which doesn't attract my main target audience. Therefore, on my final draft, I only used two different colours, which are black and white. This makes the page look more sophisticated for my main audience and makes my contents page look more presentable. Also, the boost I used on my preliminary task is very boring and wouldn't attract anyone to buy the magazine, as it's just a circle with a bit of writing inside it. Therefore, on my final project, I put the boost in a more attractive style to the audience, so people will want to turn to the page and see it. Finally, the fonts which I used for my preliminary task are very boring and don't really stand out. Therefore, on my final draft, I use a font which stands out and attracts the audience to read the main contents.